तो स्टूडेंट्स आज हमारा थर्ड लेक्चर है रिगार्डिंग फॉर्मेशन ऑफ सॉइल्स। स्टूडेंट्स मैं आपको पहले ही एक बात बता दूं, जो फॉर्मेशन ऑफ सॉइल्स है is directly related to the geological cycle of soils. Means how rocks are formed, then through the process of igneous rocks formation, sedimentary rocks formation, metamorphic rocks formation, then soils are formed, then from the soils rocks are formed. So this is all related to the geological cycle of soil. So volcanic activities compel us to understand that part of the interior of the earth which is in a molten state. This understanding, coupled with other factors, leads to one of the hypotheses concerning the formation of the earth and thus the formation of soil. This hypothesis provides us with the understanding that the original solid earth crust was formed by the cooling and the resulting hardening of the molten magma. Because of the transformation cycle as shown in figure on the next slide, which the Earth's crust underwent, no rock existing at present can be identified as having belonged to the original Earth crust. So, rocks are the parent material. Rocks are the parent material for soil. So, students, ये important point है, ये आपने अपने दिमाग में रखना है. Rocks are the parent materials for soils. Soil is a complex mixture of inorganic matter. It is formed by the disintegration and decomposition of rocks. The disintegration of rocks is caused by the following processes. Number one is mechanical weathering, chemical decomposition, and solution. So students, this is the geological cycle of soil. That is how igneous rocks are formed, then sedimentary rocks are formed, and metamorphic rocks are formed. Now, from this, how these rocks are converted into the soil, then from the soils, then how igneous rocks are formed. So, this is the whole cycle which defines the geological cycle of the soil. That is how rocks are formed in the soil and how soil is formed from the rocks. So number one is mechanical weathering. Mechanical weathering means क्या है? It means the breakdown of rocks into smaller particle sizes without chemical changes. Cracking, crushing, and crumbling are examples of mechanical weathering. It is caused by number one, the wedging action of the growing roots of the trees, then the wedging action of ice which is formed due to the entry of water in the pores of rock mass and consequent freezing of water when the temperature drops. The unequal expansion and contraction of the adjacent minerals in a rock mass having different coefficients of expansion and contraction. It is caused by the daily and seasonal changes on the surface of the earth. The abrasion of the rock formations by the flowing water, the blowing of wind containing fine particles of soil which act as an abrasive agent. The moving ice known as glaciers. Next, chemical decomposition. It is usually associated with the liberation of heat. In this case, the identity of the mineral particles is destroyed and new chemical compounds are formed. These compounds are different from the parent minerals. The process of chemical decomposition depends upon the presence of water and temperature. It produces clay minerals. It is caused by number one, hydration, carbonation, oxidation, hydrolysis. So students, number one is hydration. Hydration क्या है? The water molecules enter the crystal structure of the minerals. इसमें क्या है? The water molecules enter the crystal structure of the minerals to form new hydrous substances such as sulfates and silicates. Next, carbonation. In this case, carbon dioxide contained in water combines with the oxides of calcium, iron, sodium to form carbonates and bicarbonates of these metals. Next, oxidation. Oxygen is the most energetic oxidizing agent. It is aided by the water, and without the presence of moisture, the oxidation process is slow. Iron containing minerals are subjected to oxidation. Sulfuric acid, which is formed by the oxidation of pyrites, attack rocks. Next, hydrolysis. The hydrogen ion replaces the metallic ion of the mineral in the rock to form a more stable and new material. Next, solution. Water is the main principal agent in the solution of rocks. Water, when charged with carbon dioxide, reacts with the rock minerals to form cavities. The mineral particles sink in these cavities, for example, in the case of calcites and limestones. The materials formed by the disintegration of rocks are picked up by some agency of transportation, such as wind, water, or moving ice. These are carried to new locations where they are deposited as soil materials in various landforms. So next, students, there is geological origin of soils with special reference to soil profiles in India. Students, every soil deposit has a definite background which indicates something of the source of the material and the manner in which it was brought to its present position. The soils which are formed by the disintegration, students, I had already told you earlier that the soils which are formed by the disintegration of rocks have the same or different mineral composition from that of the parent rock. It is due to the action of chemical agents. On the geological basis, the soils are classified into two categories: residual soils and transported soils. What are residual soils? The soils which are remain at the place of their origin. The soils which remain at the place of disintegration of parent rock are called residual soils. These soils are directly over the bedrock. This can be easily recognized due to gradual change of fine-grained material to angular rock fragments. Igneous rocks such as granite or basalt and sedimentary rocks such as sandstone, shale or limestone are the parent materials for residual soils. So students, this is only a table which showing the classification of soils, geological classification of soils. जो रेजिडुअल सॉइल्स है उनका कोई मोड ऑफ ट्रांसपोर्टेशन नहीं होता, वही वहीं पे रहती है जहाँ पे उनकी जो पेरेंट रॉक, जो ये जो मेराइन सॉइल है, लैकेस्ट्रन सॉइल है, एल्यूवियल सॉइल है, देन ल्यूइस है, ड्यून सैंड है, ये सारी हमारी ट्रांसपोर्टेड सॉइल है. इनका ट्रांसपोर्टेशन मीडियम क्या है? वाटर एंड विंड. ये जो कॉल्यूवियल सॉइल है ये ग्रेविटी सॉइल है. जो ग्लेशियल जो सॉइल है वो थ्रू उसका मोड ऑफ ट्रांसपोर्टेशन क्या है? आइस. सो कॉल्यूवियल सॉइल का मोड ऑफ ट्रांसपोर्टेशन क्या है? दैट इज थ्रू ग्रेविटी. एंड ग्लेशियल सॉइल का मोड ऑफ ट्रांसपोर्टेशन क्या है? आइस. So transported soil, the soils which are carried away from their place of disintegration, from their place of disintegration to some other place by the transporting agencies are called transported soils. So the transporting agencies may be classified as water, wind, gravity, and ice. So students, the transportation of soil by water. The loose fragmentary rock material rolls down the slope of the hill into the valley. It collects at its base and is termed as talus. Fine grained products of weathering are washed down by the rainwater. The fine material penetrates into the spaces between larger blocks and cover them up gradually. This way, the entire valley is filled with detritus. Detritus is an aggregate of loosened fragments of rocks. So, heavy rainfall in a valley results in the formation of streams. The flowing water of the streams carry with it various soil particles, either in suspension form or roll them along the bottom. In the later case, that is, in rolling, the movement causes abrasion of sharp edges and thus reduces the size of the particles. If the velocity of water goes on increasing, it will move larger particles on the downstream side. The size of the particles which can be moved by water is a function of the quantity and velocity of water. When the velocity diminishes, the coastal particles are deposited. The finer particles are carried further to more sluggish portion of the streams. These particles are again picked up during floods and carried further downstream. At the last stage, it reaches the mouth of the stream from where it enters into a lake or sea. Soils transported by the water are classified as marine soil, lacustrine soil, and alluvial soil. Now, what is marine soil? The marine soil is the soil which is transported by water and deposited at the mouth of the stream. And lacustrine soil is the fine grained soil transported by water and deposited in the sea or lakes. Alluvial soil or alluvial deposit is the soil transported from its place of disintegration by the flowing water and deposited along the stream. And deposited along the stream is called alluvial soil. It is found in floodplains, alluvial fans, natural levees, and deltas. Usually, an alluvial deposit consists of coarse grains, silt, and sand in a sorted and stratified arrangement produced by the fluctuation in the stream velocity. It rarely contains large pebbles or boulders. The Indo-Gangetic plains in India constitute a typical example of alluvial soils.